beautiful people of the internet. We are stepping into this Scorpio season 2024. Scorpio season has just started, by the way, approximately like an hour and some change ago. So I wanted to really like hop on, talk to y'all about the timeline of this season, what I see that's going to be coming up throughout this season, and just all the regular shindigs that we get into. For any of those, if any of y'all, excuse me, are new here, my name is Chad the Maverick. I've been an astrologer over the course of the past decade, making sure to get the information from the stars directly to you in the easiest, most understandable way possible. I'm just going to go double check if I'm live to make sure that everything went through. If so, I'm just going to get started from there. Aside from that, happy spooky season. I'm glad that we are slowly stepping out of this last Libra season we had, which means we're stepping further away from the eclipses that we were just experiencing. I see that there's some of y'all in here. Make sure that y'all leave the like. Make sure y'all hop up in the comments so I know that y'all here. And just in general, I'm going to be able to put my website right over here just so y'all can see and check out the things that I'm going to talk about in this process. Just put out the newsletter just moments ago. So just want to put that there and we should be set. So, what is Scorpio? And why do we want to make sure that we use this next 30 days to the best of our abilities? Well, Scorpio is the intensity of the heart. Scorpio is the core passion of your desire. And desire is actually a derivative from the concept of yearning for the stars, yearning for the heaven, something that's above, right? And Scorpio really takes their time to dig into the deepest layers that most people, the everyday person, is afraid to go to or to step into. Scorpio is not afraid of the dark. They're not afraid of the shadow. They're not afraid of the things that are more taboo that might make somebody else uncomfortable, right? Scorpio isn't afraid to bring up that thing that they saw on the internet before that might have been a little gruesome, that may be a little PG-13 and like it might not be the right space, but no, they'll bring it up right to you like it's a regular thing, whether that be sex, theft, or taxes. Scorpio's always ready to kind of be the first ones to pop up and to give all the all the finesse that goes on behind that, right? So the idea behind Scorpio in general is that this is the shaman. This is the worker who's not afraid to step into the underworld. This is the person who's not afraid to walk through hell just to come out on the other side and tell you how those emotions. These people have a certain power, magnetism, and audacity, for lack of better words, that other signs have a harder time tapping into. So, what is it at the pure part of Scorpio? Is that they're going to do whatever their instincts are telling them to do. However, Scorpio sometimes can lean into animosity too long. Sometimes Scorpio can lead into paranoia for too long to where they can sometimes create their own monsters in that process, right? So if you have a Scorpio anywhere in your chart, on one side of things, you can transmute the dark and become that person of light. You can become that healer. You can be that person that you wanted or needed when you were younger, right? For people who are on the bad side, quote unquote, or the more or the less what's the word right term? The less awakened side, so to speak, of that Scorpio energy is that you could start to like use animosity in the wrong way. And so it could be used as a motivating factor, right? You can like Scorpio can make up a beef with themselves, so to speak, right? Scorpio could be like, yo, this person triggers this part of me, therefore it must be this person. Meanwhile, the whole trick is when it comes to the Scorpio energy person, that sometimes the cause is coming from within. And sometimes you need to like see something else or that to have some time of falling out with a certain energy or to not necessarily resonate fully with a certain person. Part of that struggle, that back and forth power struggle between Am I getting all of what I want, slash, are they getting all of what they want? And can we meld that together? Can we integrate that? Can we melt into one another in order for us to become one combined thing like we all are at the end of the day? That's Scorpio. That's why a Scorpio also gets there's a lot of Scorpio things that resolve and revolve around sex and their sexual nature. However, there's a lot of Scorpios that I also know who aren't predominantly um sensual, so to speak, right? They're not necessarily going to hop up and do the thing so when they were reading the original things, they were like, well, that's not even that important to me. However, for these people, the emotional depths, how people are being treated, how people are being spoken to, the way that you're able to again melt into another person's ideas or world and share half of yourself and half of theirs, and learning how to like power struggle and power dynamic between giving, receiving, letting go, etc. This whole emotional cluster F of things, right, is what Scorpio thrives in. Also, shout out to all y'all who are here right now. I just wanted to start this off. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go through the transits, the list of the days that I have. If you don't know what days I'm talking about, I highly recommend that you pull up the newsletter piece that I did as well. I'll be pulling this up in the video if in case you just want an easy way to look at it. But what's good, Ellen? What's up, Legend? That's you, dog. What's up, Regina? How you doing, Nick? Scorpio, rising sun, Venus, and Uranus, 12 here. Ooh, stay tuned for this. We about to break that down. What's up, Clarice? It's been a minute. I feel like, yeah, it's been a minute since you've been over here. What's good? How you doing? We got Liv, we got Aram. Okay. Sending love to everyone in chat and whoever is watching this afterward. Make sure that you do leave a like. I am about to go in. This isn't one of those like, oh, leave a like, and then I just end off the stream. We gonna get into this today, especially because we just entered into Scorpio season. So we're gonna break down all of the things. So just to kind of give you a little bit of context, right? I'm pulling this up, boom. So this is what I'm going to be using to base this off of. This is my newsletter, Under the Stars We Wander. Please stay tuned and support this and whatever readings that you can, because I am building my website and it will be out in November, no matter what. I don't care. Even if it's done, I'm putting out my website in November. I have been working on it for a long time. I've been trying to figure out how to add in the art to my actual accolades and work experience as well as aesthetic. You know what I'm saying? I'm real picky in particular, but this right here was the one that I put out today. Feel free to read it on your own accord. If we click this right now, it's going to be me, and it's always just weird when I do that. It's an inception thing. Oh, what's this? Oh, type in your email and subscribe. Look how easy it is, you know? Anyway, to move this forward, I want to look at the key dates for this time frame, right? And let's just, oops, whatever. Hold on. Y'all know I'm picky. Okay, cool. So we have this right there. I think I just knocked myself out. I did. One sec, y'all. One sec. Be right. Are we back? No, we're not back. Oh, we are back. It's lit. We out here. Are we in Scorpio season already? That's a great question. We actually just entered into Scorpio season an hour ago. Like, you know what I'm saying? This just ended up changing, and that's why I wanted to hop up here as soon as it kind of started to shift and to really explain these pieces. So let's actually break into some more astrology. Then we have the dates up. Then I'm going to look into the new moon and full moon to give you a little bit of basis behind the two and most important parts of every month, right? And I know I always do new moon and full moon. I've been mostly doing those free and live because I do really believe, based off of all the work I've done, based off of all the people I've worked with, if you learn how to work with the new moon and full moon, even if you're not doing something magical, you're going to start to see the ebb and flow of how this world just straight up works. I'm not capping, I'm not lying. I thought it was BS. I followed it for 5 years. It has yet to lead me astray in terms of this, right? So let's start to get into, let's talk the Scorpionic energetic, and then we'll dive in, right? So Scorpio is a water sign. Let's start at water. The element of water in nature is the most important element, so to speak. It's the most misunderstood one as well. Why do I say misunderstood? Well, ironically, because well also has to do with water. Anyway, when it does come to the actual hydration, Even the fact that you have to be hydrated in order to just survive and move throughout your day. Water's pretty important. The fact that your body is made of, at the very least, 70% water. I know there's a lot of arguments back and forth about it, but we are basically beings where our water, the blood pumping through our veins, the actual interaction. If you see somebody that you really like, you'll want to swap all the sloppy bits, just for lack of better terms, right? But in the grand scheme of things, there's water, there's interaction, there's change. And the idea of water is that it doesn't keep its shape. It knows how to transform, it knows how to change, it knows how to go with the current, but it also knows when it's supposed to like be in this proper container. The main thing I'm trying to get about, especially when it comes to Scorpio, is that have you everyone has met an enlightened Scorpio before, right? And when you meet an enlightened Scorpio, these are like some of the most monk like people. Like when you meet a real Scorpio who has gone through the trenches of their emotions, who has lived and loved again, who has in their lifetimes died, transformed, reborn, etc. Keep moving, heartache, setback, turn up, repower. When you meet a Scorpio who has done all of those waves, these are some of the most serene people you could ever meet, right? Now, on the flip end, when you meet one of those Scorpios that has not done the work, that is forced to only recognize their lust and not the love that's supposed to come from them, when they're not able to like connect with other people, when they're not able to like really like get out their own space and their own need for power, that's when we get into the more negative side of Scorpio, which could be obsessive, which could be addicting, which could be toxic, for lack of better terms. This is the easiest way for me to format that. Like the actual toxicity that people talk about, that can also occur. Now, this isn't to say that if you have a Scorpio placement, you're just screwed. What I will say is that you do have a Scorpio placement, there's a lot of work to do on that water. A lot of work to do on that water. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in just one relationship. It's not going to happen in just one friendship. You're not going to have one thing spite you and just immediately be done. It is a lifelong process of you learning how to take those energies, transmute those energies, and continue pushing forward with love and keeping an open heart in that process. And that's so much harder to talk about, or I'm sorry, to do than to talk about, right? This is really one of those things where you're supposed to really dive into the layers, dive into the underneath, the underneath. Anyway, now when Scorpio is at its best, it's literally just like the mystic waters. It's holy water, as a matter of fact. Scorpio at its best is holy water. They're able to like speak to you, make you think of something. Matter of fact, I'm gonna use an anecdote from high school. I just thought about this right now. So I had a teacher, bless his heart. Hope he's doing well. Um, my music teacher, I'm not gonna drop his name, but he was a great dude. Now, one thing about I'm gonna just use Mr. I'm gonna say Mr. Hierophant. I just saw the Hierophant card. So one thing about Mr. Hierophant is that Mr. Hierophant is an old school brother. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that back in the day, back in the city where he was from, back wherever he came from before he ended up finding religion and finding that he loved teaching and all those other things, I can tell based off of his circumstances that Mr. Hierophant was a true gangster and had to live his life a very particular way. But in some of those in betweens, right? He went from being someone who had to do what he had to do and was always into music. Then he ended up teaching in an arts high school, right? Amazing. That's a good turnaround. Now, one thing I enjoyed about Mr. Hierophant is that he never once stepped away from the shadow of how he used to have to live, ever. If you'd ask him about his love life, he'd explain how he may have had a divorce and that it really impacted him, that he's changed a lot since then. If you asked him about something from his past, he would be honest with you about it, which was really unsettling for some people. But like for me, if y'all watch me long enough, I'm just like, ooh, tell me more, right? It was so much so that I built a certain trust with them that like I got to just lead class in music stuff most of the time, right? And the reason why I'm laughing and I'm explaining this anecdote is because he had something that I don't even think the school board was like okay with at the time. Uh, but he basically kept a water bottle. It was a spray bottle. I wish I had. Oh, I do. Let's go. I was cleaning stuff. It was lit. So he had like a bottle, right? And inside of the bottle that he had, it used to just say holy water on it or like a smiley face. And anytime a student would be bad or would start to like curse at somebody or they would start to do something wrong, he would just pick it up and just spray it in their general direction, but he would just spray it towards them, right? And I always thought it was hilarious. But then as an astrologer and in like a longer time past then, I thought about it and I was like, no, 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 no. This Scorpio man went through the trenches of life, came out on the other side, found God, found religion, found all those other circumstances. And now, even if it's a joke, he starts running around and just at people, no matter what age they were. It was teachers too. Like he did not care. Like, and the reason why I'm explaining this is because, like, no matter how bad or how foul of a mood that like somebody was in, even like the kids that were coming in who were like straight up knuckleheads type deal, right? When they would come through and get like sprayed or like the joke of the spray like towards at them, they would actually start acting right. So I always thought it was interesting. It's like immediately he do that, and then people would just act regular. They would get back into whatever the case is. I don't know if he was actually doing some holiness to the holy water. I wouldn't put it past him. But the whole idea, though, in terms of this, is that as a Scorpio who had went through it, who has faced his life, who had faced his shadows, who had dealt with the shadows and owned his shadows and experienced that, then found his light through just playing music in a church band and like hanging out with like people and teaching them the ways of music and etc. And just found a certain sense of peace. At a time he wanted all of it. You know what I'm saying? At a time he wanted it all. He wanted to do the money, the fame, the extra stuff, but then he found such a strong understanding of his inner depths and decided to educate versus then to just push out. And this is the anecdote that I'm trying to tell y'all in terms of like the Scorpio energetic. It's that he did, like I said, start off in a not great place, ended up changing his life, changing his ways, and then kind of working from there. Even spreading some cheer through like shooting a water bottle at random ass people who were running in the hallways, which was always funny to watch. So I hope this story gave you a little insight on the scorpionic part to when it is on the up and up, when it does understand that it has to deal with these rebirths and transformations. And hopefully that gives y'all some insight in case you have some Scorpio energy too. But on this flip side, and then I'll get into this transit in a second. However, here's the other side of things. Scorpio at its worst takes all of the emotions that they're supposed to run through, all the emotions that they're supposed to talk out or to utilize for something more important. All of that starts to take a head on itself and it just becomes this symphony of regret, sometimes hatred, and sometimes just misplaced anger. And that's when Scorpio is at its worst. Why? Because Scorpio is trying to keep the secrets of everything, right? Scorpio is trying to keep their own secrets. Scorpio is not trying to have you know that they did this with this person, but Scorpio needs you to know that they slept with this person. But Scorpio's like, no, you can't know this other part of my life. Meanwhile, you must know the other part of their life. Like there's a game that gets played, right? Scorpio, in terms of the negative vibration, there's a game that gets played, and it's a game of power. But most importantly, it's not a game of power truly. What it really is when Scorpio is at its worst is that it's a game of they're looking for love. They're looking for love and understanding. And there is this part to Scorpio where, because of this Mars rulership, you do have this internal battle that ends up occurring. And so sometimes there could be more paranoia. There could be other things that step from it. But at its worst, Scorpio becomes cold. all their emotions, wants, needs, desires, and passions turns into a glacier that's very hard to melt. And that's when you see Scorpios that kind of reach this certain level of melancholy. They don't go like one way or another. They just kind of stay as middle as possible. And if you have any Scorpio placement, you've probably experienced this in one way or the other, right? Even if you have Mercury and Scorpio, there might be that time frame where you're like, nah, not everybody needs to know the fullness of what I'm going through. Maybe not, right? These are the kind of things that end up popping through with that Scorpio vibe. But we're not going to get you in that glacier mode. We talking about Scorpio season, so you can use it to make your life sexy. So let's get into a little bit more of this season itself. And I'm going to point out a couple dates just for y'all to know and make sure that you keep these in mind as I go about this. So, first thing that I have to mention here, are we in Scorpio season already? I think I answered this before, but yes, we had just started. Water can be everything because it picks up energy, it flows through it. You darn tootin'. And this is when we're going to be going through to just explain how this is going to go. So right now, the sun's gone into Scorpio, right? That just happened. So if you're here, welcome to Scorpio season. Happy birthday to all the Scorpios. Come get a reading. It's lit. But the other sidebar is that although there's not a lot of, so usually there's like a lot of transits in between those 2 days. There's not a lot of transits that are happening, but there's a lot of smaller transits that are going on. There was a few that was happening with Mars. There was one I think that was going on with Mercury. So the reason why I'm explaining this in between is that although there's not like a huge bit of dates from now until November, there's still a lot of emotional processing that's happening, right? As a matter of fact, I almost want to screw around and say that this new moon in Scorpio is actually happening pretty much on Halloween day, right? And so why is this important? Well, first of all, congratulations. We're getting a the sky is completely dark on Halloween. You're gonna look up in the sky like, where's the moon? Like, no, this is the darkest night of the year, y'all. Which is the new moon every year. And I'm sorry, the new moon every month that happens when the moon reaches this renewal stage, which is why when we talk about new moons, they're about manifestation. They're about new energies coming through. Now, what are the manifestation and new energies coming through, coming up? It's going to be about the new moon in Scorpio. So I have it up right here, and I'm going to briefly talk about it for a second. So this is the new moon in Scorpio happening over on the first, early in the morning on the first. So honestly, Halloween night. We're just gonna go with this new moon in Scorpio Halloween night. That makes it sound better. It sounds cooler, you know. But the new moon of Scorpio is happening in the first decan of Scorpio. Um, for those of y'all who don't understand decans, make sure that you watch my astrology one-on-one masterclass. I was a madman enough to just post it for free. So if you want to go check it out over on the YouTube channel, please feel free and share it to whoever you think would benefit from that. But in the first part, the first decan of Scorpio, this is the purity state of you wanting to launch something new. One thing about Scorpio season is that one way or another, it's going to get you tapped in deeper into your desires. So those things that you typically shy away from. And I'm gonna be so real. If you're somebody who has like a specific kink, if you're somebody who likes certain things in the bedroom, if you're somebody who just likes somebody and you ain't never told them, this Scorpio season is going to have you pop up and let them know. The Scorpio season is going to be honoring those who are going to like actively be like, yo, my heart feels this, my vibe feels this. I don't know what this means. My intuition said go for it. I'm gonna go for it. That's when things are going to start coming through. You get what I'm saying? That's when things are going to start popping in. Liv said that Venus and Caps coming up. Get ready to organize your partnerships like a business transaction. We're going to get there in a second. We're getting there in a second. Right now, we're on a new moon in Scorpio. I appreciate the enthusiasm. We'll get there soon. We'll get there soon. But let me actually close this. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is that on a new moon, we're going to be having Mercury. Oh, wait, I don't even think you can see this right now. You cannot see this right now. Y'all just watching me scratch the side of my face. That's crazy. Anyway, so getting to the next part, right? Pop your authentic ish. I have no choice but to do so. Now, getting into the next part to this, we have the Mercury at 28 degrees of Scorpio. So Mercury has been going through Scorpio for the last bit. And that's why I think a lot of the conversations have been going more inward. I don't know about y'all. Even I went more inward. And for those of y'all who ended up getting like a full moon in Aries read from me, it was historically not on time like I typically do because I had to literally go through that whole process I was telling y'all about. I had to go through it myself. I should have known better, right? But this is the transitions of these energies when it happens and when it does change and when it does shift. So with Mercury at this height of Scorpio, on this new moon day, this is actually the type of day that you need to write out your intentions. You need to write out your manifestations. You need to write out how you want to move life forward. Why? On top of that, and we'll get into this on the day of the new moon itself, but this is an important date for me to talk about. We also have Mars at 29 degrees of Cancer. Mars has been in Cancer for a hot minute. I actually don't even remember what life was like without Mars being in Cancer. I'm not even gonna lie. Mars has been in Cancer for a while, and it's been you having to learn about your own needs. It's about you also having to learn about how you nurture yourself. Or are you being nurtured properly? Are you being nurtured properly? Are you being a proper member to like helping out other people in their comfort and their understanding of things, right? Let's go. Studio said, I'm a Scorpio Mercury and I'm always thinking inwardly. Facts. So, on the new moon in Scorpio in general, at the master degree height of Scorpio, we're going to be there's a lot of inward thinking, right? So, even, and I'm going to be just transparent. Even if you're out on Halloween night, you might be doing a whole internal, you might be having an entirely different day on the internal part, right? Like you might be like, oh, I'm dressed up, I'm doing this. And there might be an even deeper experience that's going on. And for those of y'all who are staying in on Halloween, there's like 3, 4 different holidays. I believe it's Samhain, if I'm not mistaken. It's a new moon, it's Halloween, it's a couple other festivals that are happening. Anyway, this day is stacked. Like this November 1st Halloween time frame is completely stacked in the most spiritual, magic, and mystical and hidden signs of Scorpio. So this is going to be a really good time for you to start to put in your manifestations if you know what you're doing specifically, right? I'll be talking deeper about the new moon in Scorpio. I'll probably be going live on the day before Halloween or 2 days before Halloween just to make sure that y'all have the chance to see it. But that's what's going to be happening on the 1st of November, right? Now, I'm gonna move forward one day. So getting forward is one day forward, right? Let me hop on here. We also have Mercury. One second. Screw it. I'm just going to move the day before. But basically, Mercury is going to be going into Sagittarius, right? Which is honestly a relief, right? It's honestly a relief that Mercury's going into Sag. Day to day, yes. But when it comes to Mercury going into Sag during Scorpio season, um, it's like there's this intensity there, but we're going to be able to laugh about it just a little bit, right? And I think that's a really endearing thing because there's so much intensity that's going on that Mercury and Sag is going to kind of bring this like goofball energy to certain parts. Like I know things are getting serious. I'm sure there's been ads in between that are showing stupid stuff about the election. I don't really care about. Like the idea is there's going to be a lot of seriousness, or they're going to try to get people to be very serious. And then there's going to be this little goofballness that's just rolling through. So embrace your whimsy, embrace a little bit of the funny. Because when Mercury goes into Sag, there's going to be a lot of truths to be told. But it's the idea of like, can we still laugh about it, right? Can we laugh about the idea that our government has always lied to us? Can we laugh about the idea that the celebrities that everyone used to praise might not be good people? Mhm. Can we all laugh at the idea that despite how much BS the world has gone through, there's still a different way for it to find a new way to show it? We have to really understand when Mercury goes into Sag, especially during the Scorpio season, that like life is genuinely what you make it. And I think when it gets to this Sagittarius part, it's about you unlocking and exposing the philosophy of how are you making this thing called life, right? Because if you're like, oh my God, I'm the biggest fan in the world of blank, and then you find out that they over at the puffy party, you're gonna be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is real that's going on, right? I hear a siren right now. It's real out here at all, you know. When's the new moon? The new moon's happening on November 1st. I'm going to be covering it a few days before because I'm gonna need to enjoy my Halloween time frame when we keep it a stack. But just wanted to let you know in that process. Now to move a little bit forward. Talked a little about Mercury and Sag. Basically, it's going to be a lot of ha ha he he's and good fun that's pulling through in that future, right? Oh, shout out to Ann. Ann said it's Dia de la it's Dia Dia de los Muertos on the 1st. Okay, dope. Good to know. I'll be looking at too much stuff. I'm sorry, y'all. All right, let's move a little bit further. Oh, so look, the 1, 2, 3. That's what we're gonna go through. November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. The universe got something to say. So straight up, we have a new moon. We have Mercury going into Sag. Then we have Mars going into Leo, and this is going to be a really impactful transit. So let me hop over to this transit so I can give you all a little context. And there's a reason why I wanted to highlight it as early as I am, because oh, that's my face. I don't need my face. I need this in my face. Ha. Anyway, so when we get closer to this, we have Mars going into Leo right over here, basically to the 3rd to the 4th type deal. That's going to be the change and the transition that ends up happening. But if we look ahead by like a month and some change, oh, what's that? In December and January, we gonna enter this Mars retrograde phase, right? I actually want to get the exact time frame. I think it's sorry, it is the 30th, I think, where we enter into this. I'm going back by hours. I'm screwing up. Whatever, y'all. I think you get the point. Basically, we're going to be entering into this Mars in Leo retrograde that's going to be coming up after that. So we have to be really mindful, because when Mars goes into Leo, it's going to show you what you're made of. This is the best way to put it. Mars goes into Leo, you get shown what you're made of. Mars goes Leo in retrograde, you might have to redefine the way that you've been going about that part, right? The reason why this is so interesting is because even if you've watched my work for long enough, you know I go back and forth between like, I'm just gonna go live and like I really want to make a video and sit there and craft it. When Mars goes into Leo retrograde, this is just an example. I might be like, yo, I'm not doing any live streams. I'm only doing stuff that like I'm making that I care about, right? When Mars goes into Leo, you might be used to running on a runway and only running on a runway. And you might be like, you want to know what? Screw this. I want to be in control of my creativity. I'm going to start posting online and on Instagram and on YouTube and on TikTok or whatever else you want to do. There's a change that's going on as Mars goes into Leo, and then it goes into retrograde towards the end of the year, and it stays there for a bit as we enter into 2025. There's a reinstilling of how we go about our passions, we show up for ourselves, and speak on the business that we're going to be standing on, right? This is going to be fueled by the power of the heart, and also you redeveloping and understanding the secrets of the heart. And that's why this is happening during Scorpio season. We're already in the depths, we're already in the desires. Now it's about how are we acting on our desires, because it's one thing to desire things, it's another thing to go get it. It's one thing to want and wish something, it's another thing to manifest and to put in the steps for it. We are a manifestation and put in the steps for it kind of channel. That's what we're here for. That's the type of community that we pull through. If you haven't got your chart read by me, maybe you don't know how to do it. But if you got your chart read by me, then I know for a fact you know how to do it, right? So if you haven't gotten a reading with me before, make sure that you do check it out right now throughout the Scorpio season. Every single person that ends up coming through and getting a reading, I definitely appreciate y'all. It always helps. And I'm going to be out here making the website, getting some more things together. I've been circling back with some people for reviews and stuff. Like we making it, we making it nice. We making it nice. We doing what we set out to do. And been a beautiful thing so far. So I want to thank each and every one of y'all just for the support. Even showing up right here just ends up helping me out in general. And then I could just give y'all more content. Y'all come through for me when I need. And that's how we just have this beautiful relationship of astrologer to people, you know? Because what is astrology without the people, in my personal opinion? But hey, let's move a little bit closer into more of the we're moving closer into more of oops, I lied. Okay, now we're here. Cool. So the next thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to go through these kind of briefly because these are more talking points. But we're going to go into Venus enters Capricorn. Liv said something earlier where they're like, you're going to start treating your business as like, or your relationships like straight business, and you just might. Venus in Capricorn. How do I explain this, right? Appreciate the hearts and the love and the hundreds. I see y'all over there. Much love, much love. I don't think I'd miss it. I'll just be so into what I'm explaining. I don't want to have people watching this later not know what I'm talking about. But when it gets to Venus in Capricorn is like what y'all remember Christian Grey? Do y'all remember the 50 Shades of Grey scenario that went on? Do y'all remember how every lady, no matter how quaint and innocent and peaceful and oh, I would never do such a naughty thing like that. ever just started popping up and talking about the raunchiest things that they would do in the bedroom to a man that had a lot of money and doing all the Christian Grey stuff. Do y'all remember that? I remember that. Do y'all also remember the like do y'all also remember that in between time frame where like everybody was like really into like the whole vampire jump when it was the Edward Cullens and like the Cullen family and then the Bella's over there being like, and for those who don't know, just know very horny lady meets ancient vampire man. Ancient vampire man can't read horny lady's mind. They make 4 books together, and she eventually becomes a part of the family. This is as quick as I can explain it. But during that time frame, there was this like huge in between. This was explaining Venus and Capricorn between like the power dynamic of somebody who's ravishing, very smart, very intelligent, very precise. And then also just the vampire dude being like, be with you forever, Bella. Just can't. Because if I was with you, Bella, you would have to have a contract. And I can't do that to you. And they're like, no, please, just bite me. I just I want to be with you. I want to be. Remember that whole thing? That is Venus in Capricorn, right? Ancient vampire man. So this is how the story ends. Yeah, kind of. The reason why this is so important, and all jokes aside, despite my silliness, is that Venus in Capricorn is like really about like long-term commitments. Like it's really about, wow, this person has such a power to them that I want to invest in them. Or wow, this person may have a lot of bread and they're trying to take care of me. Okay, Pookie, I'm gonna chill out. Okay, I'm gonna stop. You feel me? Like there's this need to kind of like step out of there's a fantasy at play, right? There's either a fantasy at play in terms of like the finer life, or there's a real long-term commitment being sparked by something that's super raw and super real. And so Venus and Capricorn is going to be honoring those who are like trying to make the long-term thing happen, right? When you stop playing with your sneaky link, loiter in November, and you're like, wouldn't it be nice if we were just like, I don't know, together? Like that's gonna be Venus and Capricorn pulling through. So let me pull up the astrology for a hot second, right? How about this man is deeply spiritual? And because I could do both, dog. Anyway. Anyway. So the idea though, and when we get to Venus and Capricorn, um, freaking disgusting energy. Oh god. All right. But when we do get to Venus and Capricorn at 0 degrees, where the change that ends up pulling through is that there is this need to like bring out this serious rendition of things. It's time to take your things more serious. It's time to take that's why like even me having this conversation with y'all, and I'm like, yo, November. I didn't even remember Venus and Capricorn was happening. I was just like, yo, November, no matter what, I'm putting out the website and the stuff moving no matter what. I'm putting it out, right? That's a very Venus and Capricorn thing. And when people hear that, they just hear like, oh, no matter what, he's gonna put it. Oh, like there's an attraction to the general idea of like fully committing to a thing, right? We see it all the time where there's people who might not be the most talented particularly, or they may not be the most skilled in a certain thing, but they're willing to do the thing longer than anybody else. That's Venus and Capricorn, right? They're willing to put up with the boundaries, the layers, this etc. in order for them to finally find like a better solution. That's Venus and Capricorn. So Venus and Capricorn isn't about instant validation, especially in your relationships. However, I will say, usually I'm not the big like, here's a relationship portal day, go for it. We're having Venus and Capricorn start on 11/11. And for those of y'all who are single, looking to mingle for life with a person, this is a kind of a good manifestation that I would say to like bring in your partner. Now granted, here's a problem that we be running into. Everybody be like, oh, I manifested this partner. Y'all don't be specific. Y'all don't be specific. Y'all don't be specific at all. And so why you think y'all be keep getting these half-baked A people that be popping up? You be getting the half-baked renditions of your actual wants. You're like, and then you be over there looking like Goldilocks, like, this one's too warm. This one's far too cold. This one's just right. Listen, this 11/11 day, right? You're using this Venus in Capricorn to manifest a job. You're using the Venus in Capricorn to manifest a partner. Using the Venus in Capricorn to just manifest the feeling of greatness in yourself. It's gonna take some time. You're gonna have to be specific, and you're gonna have to wait that intense time frame out where you just don't know for sure. You have to go about all the things that happen in Venus and Capricorn like they've already happened. Yeah. Oh, there's a joke. There's a joke that I have had with just a few of my homies in general, where like somebody will look at someone, they're like, "Oh yeah, that'll never work out with them." It's like, "Well, so why you say it like that?" They're like, "Well, that's my future ex-wife," and then they go for it, and they might be right, but even then, they're intending that in that process. So that's what happens when you're talking about Venus and Cap and you're deciding to like be with something. If you really want something long term, claim that. Don't half as it. The problem is we get into manifestations, we start half assing stuff at the end. I'm guilty of it too. That's why I haven't even sat here to fully teach y'all manifestation the way I have always done it, particularly because like I haven't mastered it yet. Right? But even the seriousness of like, yo, I haven't mastered that yet, so I don't want to tell y'all how to do it. The only way I could do it is if I look at your chart, right? But in general, manifestation is so hard to talk about genuinely because every single person has to manifest differently, right? Some people manifest by using a computer. Some people can manifest literally using Chat GPT. Some people can't manifest unless they're sitting in a room with their eyes closed, upside down, butt naked, and singing some praises and hymns that they heard from the 1700s in a past life incarnation. People are different, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are different. We all have different needs. We all have different intentions, and we all have different scales and levels of what we think is even possible to begin with. So when I get to consult and sit down with y'all, we get to literally, if you sat down with me for real and you've been like trying to do something, we get to craft out exactly what it is you aiming for based on the transits, your desires, etc. That's my favorite part of this. What I do in general, right? And the reason why I'm explaining all this too is that Venus and Capricorn is a good time to get a reading from your astrologer. What you say? You feel me? Nah, what is going on? Interesting. I heard the weirdest beep ever. I hope that's a message for some of y'all. Whatever I just said before, that was the longest random beep that I've heard in a minute. So maybe that's a confirmation for one of you out there. Who knows? Okay. Now that I'm non-distracted from the outside source, I hope that y'all got a little insight into Venus and Capricorn. Of course, I'll write about it. Of course, I'll re-mention it later. But I at least wanted to give you a little understanding of the severity of this Venus and Capricorn, you know? Um, and a lot of y'all, this is my last say, a lot of y'all think y'all want relationships and y'all just want to get laid or have a friend. And y'all got to be specific about that too. I'm so serious. Like a lot of people think that they're like, oh, I need this thing. And it's like, you don't even want to commit to nothing. They're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's true. The butt naked singing hymns, that was somebody. I don't know who it is. That's somebody. I know that people be watching my live streams from all parts of the world. You know what I'm saying? I have been grateful to know that my music has gotten people laid. My live streams have gotten people to just absorb spiritual knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I've had people have gotten married based off of my stuff. I've been to baby showers with people that I've helped before. It's a beautiful time, you know what I'm saying? But it's funny because it's like we never really know what our impact is. And one thing I want to say before I ended up leaving for Venus and Capricorn, you don't know your impact, but you need to step up every day anyway, right? You might not know what's going to reach what, right? And I talk about this sometimes. Every time I go live on stream, I go live expecting like, and I'm glad y'all are here. But my expectation, I'm like, no one, even if no one's here, I'm still gonna talk about this. I'm still gonna break this down. Why? Because it's something that I love to do. You know what I'm saying? It's something that I enjoy doing, and it's something that I have been able to help people with, and people have been able to invest back in me. Then I love doing what I do. And if you could find something that you love what you're doing, you don't work a day in your life. Now that's a lie because you be working. I be working. I'll be anyway. Let's move on to the next part, right? Liv said something dope, I'm sure. She said, if you try and manifest a partner, look to yourself and work on your healing. Facts. you require certain needs, things, you got to make sure that you can give those to them too. That part. Also appreciate the hugs and the love, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate all that, right? But like this is really what that is. So if you are curious about the partnership and how those things relate, I would definitely recommend checking out my Venus masterclass. I love being able to have a masterclass to be like, oh, you want more? Go check that out. But for real, if you do have the Venus masterclass, you learn your Venus. And I do readings whenever people get readings and they want to specify their Venus or their Mars. So we always save a little extra time to break that down too, in case you do want to get a reading. Anyway, let's push this forward on to the 15th, right? So so this right here is where we get into the full moon. I just wanted to put emphasis on a full moon in Taurus, right? But it's not just a regular full moon, right? Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's a new moon, it's a full moon, oh, it's a regular one. What? No, this full moon is on Uranus. This full moon is on the, I just don't know. This is on the F around and find out planet. This is on the I did not expect to win the lottery, but I won the lottery today. And this could also be a yo. No, the Venus class is out. Venus class already out. It's a master class. It's out. It's already there. You can find it. It'll be there. um, but yeah, that's one of the hugest things I would say to this full moon is that there's a huge change, there's a huge shift in how we're viewing. Honestly, if I'm being so transparent, one of the biggest things about this full moon in Taurus that's coming up is that we're letting go specifically the things that we have upheld from Pluto and Capricorn that do not resonate with us anymore, right? So I'll give you a great example. I am a freelance person, right? I still wake up and start working at the ass crack of dawn. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like typically. Some days I have days where I sleep in and it's weird, whatever. But like my brain, even though I know I can work whenever I want, my brain has been so wired into the concept of having to work 9 to 5. Even when I don't have to, I still do. This full moon, hopefully, right? And even for my case, you get to like let go of those things. Like just because you're impacted by something that has lasted you for most of your life and understanding doesn't mean that you're like failing the thing, right? So give yourself a little bit of grace. It's your first time doing whatever you're doing. It's your first time healing what you're healing. It's your first time having the opportunity to see you need to heal something. So don't beat yourself up about that. Because when we get to this full moon in Taurus, like the last parts of whatever you're not seeing or might not be easily conscious to you, especially based off of this new moon in Scorpio, is going to start to show up. As a matter of fact, that new moon in Scorpio is going to be the catalyst of what you release during that full moon in Taurus or that next 6 months. And whatever you're releasing on that full moon in Taurus is going to be gone forever out of your psyche in that next 6 months. So take these new moons and full moons seriously. Like I know I go live for them, but like take them seriously even in your own world and make sure you find out where they're happening in your chart. Right. I love doing readings for everybody, but also just know where it's at and it'll help out so much, I promise you. Anyway, that's a little bit on the full moon. It's going to be happening on Uranus. The other part that I want to say is also going to be making a connection over to Pluto in Capricorn. Remember how I was just talking about this, the last part to release all that Pluto in Capricorn? Because literally, guess what? This is the last transit day that's making any real change to that until we get into what's this? What's this? What's this? This is it. This is it, y'all. This is what we've been waiting for. This right here. Oh, you don't even see what I'm saying. This right here. I thought y'all were seeing what I was saying the whole time. This right here. This is what we've been waiting for. Pluto and M and F'n. Pluto in Aquarius is going to finally, and I do mean finally, change the world that we've been. I feel like, genuinely speaking, everything I've worked on was just like anything I've worked on that has been stumped or like not set through, or like when I had a big dream or goal and I felt it got blocked. I think that just has to do, like, if you've been dealing with something like that too, this is really specific. If you've been like feeling like, oh, I've been trying to start this business, but I keep getting blocked. Hmm. Oh, I've been trying to like work on this one thing I know is important, but it's just not working out for me. Hmm. chances are you've just been needing to wait until Pluto in Aquarius. 'Cause Pluto in Aquarius is the change that we are going to need to bring in the healers, to reawaken the star seeds, to bring out the creatives, to make the power goes into the hands of the human beings that are putting up the stuff to begin with, working together and collaborating, more community building. You think that we have a good amount of people right now? Just you wait until this time next year. And I remember all y'all. Don't worry about all that. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about a sweetheart. Don't worry about it. I remember the day ones. I remember the people. I still am in contact with one of the first people who ever followed me on Twitter when I started this astrology thing. Like, don't worry about the community aspect on that. I got y'all. What I can say is that all the things that used to be weird are going to become the most popular things now, right? Like, I'm kind of hype just because I'm like, yo, when this happens on the astrology, like on the astrology tip, ooh, all of my spiritualists, all the people that have been sleeping on or not rocking with what you're doing, ooh, I could do a whole video on Pluto and Aquarius. As a matter of fact, I might do a masterclass on it. That might be a paid class. I might do a little something for a paid class for people that want to hop in for Pluto and Aquarius. I might do that. Might do that. What's good, Charity? How you living? Just joined the live. Thank you so much for your videos. Not playing. Like, I appreciate it for real. You know, it's always a fun time. I love seeing y'all pop up as well. Y'all give me a lot of energy to keep this going. Because if I was just doing this by myself, I don't got the energy. You know what I'm saying? This is confirmation. The Lego Studio said this is a confirmation because I was recording a vlog video saying this exact words before joining the live, and I love that you said that because when I break this down, I know I talk a lot of smack, right? I'm a triple fire sign. Like, I talk junk. I raise up my people in real life. You know, for people who have had the luxury of me loving them. Y'all know I'm a sweetheart. Like, I really love people for real. But like, when it comes to like the connections that we all get, we're all connected. Like, when someone picks up a tarot deck, every tarot deck's connected, right? When we pick up these phones and these technologies to get into this, we're all technically connected. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're getting the same information. The key part to the astrologer's job, the key part to the tarot reader's job, the key part to the priest, the pastor, to this is to how do we translate it best, right? Because when I say something in your chart, it's not the first time you've understood this part of your chart, but it's the first time you've been seen and it's been shown to you in that manner, which puts you in a position of power, which is my job and why I go about astrology the way that I do. I can't speak for every other astrologer. There are some fatalistic ass astrologers out here, right? That are like, you didn't buy my moon session? Well, I hope you don't have a good moon anymore. What is that, right? Um, like, there's a lot of things in between when it comes to this, but the reason why I'm even explaining this, even in my own field, even in that, Pluto and Aquarius, the real is going to come back, right? Pluto and Aquarius, your again the favorite star that you've been like force fed. I'm gonna use Drizzy Drake Rogers just because he's the easiest one to talk about, right? So Drake's been one of the biggest artists since at least 2010, right? So that's about 14 years of him at his height. Remember how back in the day, if somebody, I'm gonna use SoundCloud as an example. Back in the day, when SoundCloud first came out, SoundCloud was ill. It was like you had to know music, you had to be dope, you had to post it, you had to have a certain type of whatever. Later on, SoundCloud rapper became like this thing. It also became like this, like, oh, you're just a SoundCloud rapper. You don't even make this thing. I've been doing a creative thing for a minute. But meanwhile, someone would just have a worse song off on iTunes, and people would be like, oh my God, this is so good. And you're like, what? And it's like, well, yours is on this and theirs is on that. That would be the differential. Pluto and Aquarius is going to level that playing ground so hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, as many times people have diss content creators or people that do TikTok or everything else, where do you get your news from? Where do you get your news from? Like, for real, like, where do you get your news from? Is it from the news station? Is it from the newspaper? Or do you get what you know off of TikTok? Or do you watch YouTube every day like I watch YouTube every day? Or do you like pick up your phone and see who sent you the last meme about the latest thing that just happened? Because the way that we get this information is finna change. The way we present this information finna change. The way that we relate to this information is going to change. And the reason why all of this Scorpio season is coming through the way that it is because you are going to find that core part of what you've been doing in your world, learning how to invent on that, to tap into it, to truly recognize it. And then you're going to push that out moving forward to Pluto in Aquarius, like straight up, right? I've always done what I've done in terms of trying to impact the community, right? I've worked with different companies. I work with companies that are very astrology based. I work with other spiritual brands. I work for one right now. That's my day job throughout my time frame, right? I understand how these companies or corporations typically work in terms of these things, and they aren't all bad at all. You know what I'm saying? Some of them really do care about certain things in terms of the people that are working there, etc. Don't get me wrong. But when it gets to Pluto and Aquarius, this is going to be like that person you used to rub shoulders with that y'all wanted to play rivals and not work together. Y'all gonna have to work together. That's the only way you're gonna get the information out. You know what I'm saying? Like Pluto and Aquarius is gonna challenge people's ego so good. I can't wait. Because like the people who are willing to push or get out their way to push up the vibrational consciousness are going to be held high standard of success. Those people who are trying to crush people, downplay people, speak bad about people, break people's like perceptions of that, character defamation, all of that stuff. Oh, I can't wait for people to start hating in Pluto and Aquarius. You want to see how fast somebody gets recanceled back? Oh, that's gonna be crazy. Gonna be crazy because as a collective, we have gotten fed up. And we don't know that yet. We don't fully like really get that yet, right? I knew it was real as soon as like I knew it was real as soon as like Chat GPT came out and people immediately were like, well, there goes my job. How's your job going that fast? Oh, you don't work with people? You don't even know how to work with the AI? I was like, I don't know about you. I use this. I'm a tech person. I've been in doing this for years. I'm cool with it. I don't use it beyond like a certain means, and I always will rely on my core self, but I've definitely used it. There's a difference between people who are using it to like try to force something to happen or to play the game in a weird way, and then people who just use it to use it, right? I've used it to bounce back and forth like it's another person, right? And I respect it too. I've finished off a conversation with the chat thing, and I'd be like, thank you, good luck, I appreciate you. They're like, you're welcome. The problem is people get so caught up in treating things bad and trying to have power over that when the power starts to play out in Pluto and Aquarius, only the real is going to last. Only the real is going to move through. How's your job going that fast? That's literally the first thing I thought about. I'm not going. Yeah. Huge transformations coming, way bigger than before. So ready for this rebirth. Has been such a time coming. And so this whole season, this is why I'm prepping you for this, right? This whole season is literally about you diving into the transformation of not knowing what's to come, but being able to open your heart up to what's about to be next. That's why the Scorpio season is built like this. That's why Scorpio season at the end of it is going to be like launched off with that full moon to like open up the gates to you really like living your dream life. Because the problem is y'all be so obsessed with the limitations to your dreams that you don't realize that they're stifling you. And it sucks when you do see when they're stifling you because it might take you some time. You know how much you have to unlearn in this life? I have been like, and even for me having conversations with the women that are in my life, and like I always just ask stuff because I'm curious as to just how We all relate to one another, whether through dating, whether through life, whether through everything else. And I've asked so many women about like, how they look at dating now, how they go about their relationships and partnerships and etc. And all across the game, people have been saying that the game has changed, right? People aren't necessarily looking for a comrade. They're not looking for a friend. They're not looking for a companion. They're looking for a thing to own. You are my girlfriend. You are my boyfriend. You are my. Meanwhile, Pluto and Aquarius is like, high five, friend. Yeah, you want to get married? Like, it's a very different game. And we're going to see more. And I know I'm talking more about Pluto and Aquarius and I have everything else, but this is why all of that inner mechanism stuff is going to work because Pluto and Aquarius is a 20-year shift. And starting off with this squaring type nature as well to that Scorpio energy, there's going to be this back and forth between, do I learn to innovate and love harder, or do I stay in my own way? What do you choose? What do you prefer? But yeah, but that's pretty much what's going on for that. And this is the last one that I'm gonna point out. Then I'm gonna start heading out in a second. I answer some questions and stuff too. So if anyone has a question about Scorpio season, pull through. I don't think I'm doing cards today. Just not feeling it, to be honest with y'all. Um, I also was like, I want to make sure those are right for the new moons and full moons. I don't want to just force them in between. Like, yes, being able to interact with y'all, read with y'all, that. But like, I've been doing so much stuff on my day work and my day to day that I need to just like let that be my focus, especially during the week. So I appreciate y'all for that patience on that. Please make sure you check out my plethora of master classes and other things in the in between time. Anyway, but on the 21st, we have Scorpio season ending, and then the best season of all time begins because it's my birthday season and my birthday month. Not about not my birthday season. And we're gonna have something special, of course, for that as well. But yeah, I'm just really excited for this upcoming time frame. Scorpio season is going to really show you the depths of where it's going on for you. And I'm just hyped to bring y'all the more information about this. I'm hyped to bring y'all some more art info, music, etc., whatever comes to mind. I've been working on a other projects for the last month and some change. Some people are aware of it. I might even have them pop up for a feature at some point. It's been a we're it's been a fun time. I'm gonna talk about it later when it does pop up, but it's gonna be hilarious when it does. Anyway, all this to say, this Scorpio season, and I want to end this off. You know what I'm saying? But this Scorpio season, I hope you get to see the light within your darkness. I don't think people always live a great life. I don't think a lot of people are conscious enough to see what things have been working in their favor or not working in their favor. And this isn't for you to fully like step into a consciousness wave because the worst thing that you could also do to yourself is be so conscious that you miss out on like life in front of you, right? Of course, is it good to drink like that? No. Is it good for you to use all these other type of things? No. Is it good for you to sleep around all the time? Not particularly. But if that's part of these aspects of the journey and it's like we shy away from this human existence so hard. And so we can act like we don't want nothing, right? I've seen hundreds of people pretend to be spiritual people and be like, I do not want any money. Our accountability program is $50,000. You must pay today. What is that, right? So when we get to the real parts to all of this, I hope this Scorpio season really gets to remind you of that core, pure part to your soul that just wants to be expressed, loved, and sometimes can be a little confusing, but that's okay. Like a whole part of this human experience is to understand the complexity and to figure out how to better survive with one another, get along with one another, and push the envelope on the things that we want to do. Shedding the old skin, facts, shedding the old layers of what used to be. Because when we talk about dreams, dreams change. When we talk about aspirations, aspirations change. You know what I'm saying? Like You gotta trust the process as those things happen too. There is doubt that pops up sometimes. Can you trust that doubt is a tall part of the process, or are you going to take doubt as its reality? Because it's not reality. Your reality is what's always happening. What you seek is always seeking. But can you see you enough to know that what you want is actually on the way? Chad, do you have any Scorpio placements? Maybe. Anyway, so to move forward, let me see. How will the energy shift in the workplace environment as we head into Scorpio season? There's going to be people who want a power trip. And this is one thing, even in general, if anyone tries a power trip on you during Scorpio season, just don't engage. Like nothing can have power over you unless you let it. Like don't engage. Don't engage. There's been in if it's an ego thing, you're gonna lose. If it's a heart to heart thing, you always are gonna win. Because what is real will win. What is true and genuine, and it's connected to source, connected to God, connected to that true part of yourself. Always shine through. And it might not be when you want it, but it will be in the end. So as more as you stay with your genuine truth, the more that you step up into your actual power, the more you step into your power, the more uncomfortable everyone's going to get. And I hope everybody that's not meant for you gets as uncomfortable as, because when someone's living in that truth, you are going to attract and repel. Know that the things you are repelling away are for a reason, right? A lot of people say that rejection is divine redirection. Rejection is sometimes you being saved. You might have been like, oh my God, I want to like work with you so bad. Meanwhile, you work with them for a second and they do everything, spit on you, step over you, and then they'll end it with a smile like, don't fall for the okie doke. You know what I'm saying? Don't feed the stray animals. Eventually they want to go off, Tab. Go off. You know what I'm saying? But it's true. It's true. Sometimes it's like, sometimes people ask for a bite from your hand just to bite your hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? Oh, it's okay. I knew you didn't bite my hand on purpose. Here's my other hand. Oh, you bit this one too. Well, if I just reach out even for, oh, my wrist, don't know. Don't. All right. One thing about Scorpio, the other lesson of this, and this is what I'm going to say, Scorpio season is about the art of letting go. If you can love something so much that you let it go, you know what love is. Straight up. If you can love someone so much that you let it go, you know what love is. If you love something so much that you have never let it go and you're still on about it, you've never loved it. I hate to say that. Yes, I do have a Scorpio placement, in case someone was wondering. But yes, then you haven't loved it. You know, it's rather to have loved and to have lost to have never loved at all. Very Scorpio themes, especially as we're heading out of Libra season. But it's also like there's always this ebb and flow of like, it was so long ago. I think it was Dolo. I'm pretty sure it was Dolo, the pilot man. He was explaining something about manifestation in general, but there's always a part to everyone's manifestation, no matter what it is, where you dead will think it will not happen, right? And you'll go through a grieving period. Like I need to explain this because every time, and this even goes to my life. Matter of fact, even those of y'all who follow the lore, I met my astrology mentor the day I was going to quit posting astrology videos. Like I went out to do a video that day. It didn't work. Nobody budged. I was like, screw it. I'm going to quit and just grab this job. And I met my astrology mentor in that moment. When you hit a low, that doesn't mean you're just done. But your expectations might have to change. The way that you're going about what you're doing might have to change. So I'm only telling you this because you can't count yourself out, right? Like I don't count none of y'all out. Straight up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I continue to push the love as much as I can when I can. I still got hundreds of comments to get back to. I just didn't have the energy to do it yet. So if I have not seen your stuff or haven't posted in a second, I apologize. I've been experiencing these transits as well. But we are getting into a very different space in terms of all the energies that we're doing. So yeah, I came to put a foot in that. Fair enough. No. I'm not quitting nothing. I'm not quitting nothing. Um, but that was a lesson in the idea that like even when you feel like giving up, what's meant for you is still meant for you. Even when you're like, oh no, I'm not, I'm gonna leave it alone. Next thing you know, someone just comes along and reminds you about how strong you are, and they never even known you like that, but they could just see what that's going on, right? You never know what you don't know. And this Scorpio season is going to teach you more on how to trust into, believe your intuition, trust in your feelings. And if you don't know what's which, stop there and breathe. Just breathe. Take an hour to yourself to just exist. You know what I'm saying? Never give up on yourself and earning your diamonds. Nah, for real. And pressure makes diamonds. You get what I'm saying? A lot of people think things are supposed to just come to them. A lot of people think people that are doing brand stuff have money for real and that they're living this lavish life. No, they're not. This is a ruse. You know what I'm saying? People are, your favorite celebrity has to deal with their ends meet day to day too. It's just the world we live in. It's the end of Pluto and Capricorn. This is when things start to scale and level out. The interesting time. All this to say though, I appreciate each and every one of y'all being here. I've entered Yap City and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. So I want to end this container at a time where I still feel like I've kept the lore intact. Appreciate y'all for pulling through and listening to me talk for this Scorpio season live stream. Obviously, I will be putting more out in this process. Yeah, no. I'm from the East Coast too. I get you. Anyway, drop a like if you haven't. You know what I'm saying? Drop the like through. Appreciate y'all. But outside of that, yeah, make sure you check out the other master classes, etc. Get a reading if you haven't. If you have got a reading, get a follow-up reading. We can get in some more stuff, you know what I'm saying? Just make sure that you hit me up in the process, you drop it down. I want to follow up because blank, and I always got y'all. My readings are about the time, not about the reading itself. Anyway, appreciate each and every one of y'all. I'm gonna go take a nap. Okay, cool.